Get ready, start. I am delighted to be here today to address the Conference of Governors. This is indeed a unique opportunity for me as I am of the firm opinion that the office of the Governor has been vested with great responsibility by our Constitution, and I have the chance today to leave behind some thoughts with you about the evolving nature of the role and functions of this august office. There perhaps no other constitutional office that enjoys the autonomy and carries the attendant responsibility as does that of the governor. In this unstable time we are living in, people have great expectations from this office. This places an enormous burden on your shoulders. It also gives you the opportunity to do good. The role of the governor has varied over time and space and has come under close public scrutiny. The greater the responsibilities attached to an office, the greater will be public scrutiny in a democracy. In our evolving polity, where political patterns have changed substantially over the last 70 years, there is bound to be some partisan controversy or the other challenging the authority and dignity of this high office. This places an added burden on your shoulders to rise above partisan politics while discharging your constitutional obligations. In doing so, you are the sole judges of what is right and wrong, of what is mandated to you as per the Constitution, and what is not, what is in larger national interest, and what is not, and what do people perceive your actions to be. I am sure that each one of you has reflected on this aspect of your work, and I am confident that you have the wisdom, experience, and sagacity to deal with these situations. Today, India is at height in its development trajectory after years of the so called Hindu rate of growth. We have broken fresh ground and have been able to deliver growth in the range of 5% to 6%. We are now at a point in time where we can deliver growth at a rate of 7 to 8%. At this point in time, owing to the developments over the last 2 decades, there are no external constraints to the growth of our country. It is very much in the realm of possibility for this country to become a prosperous nation, rid of the perennial blot of poverty. In such circumstances, if there are any constraints, these are purely internal. our success in living up to our potential or not depends on our competence or on our ineptitude. No external force can be blamed if you do not rise up to global expectations. Therefore, I will emphasize that it is an obligation for all of us in this August gathering to reflect on our roles in ensuring that the processes of development are allowed to take place unhindered. It is this vision of a rising India that must guide our actions while discharging our duties. Governors have a critical role to play in our nation's progress. In a way, you are the custodians of our future. You are the representatives of the center in the state, and hence you bring a national perspective to state level action and activities. While many changes have taken place at the national level in the economic sphere over the last 2 decades, much more needs to be done. There is a need to make our growth process more inclusive to ensure that marginalized and weaker sections benefit from economic growth and to ensure that social infrastructure, particularly in health and education, is improved. Much of this is to be done at the state level, and hence the role of governors in ensuring that this happens. As I had said earlier, the environment for India's development has never been as favorable as it is now. Increased resources can flow in only if safety and security is ensured. This requires peace, tranquility, and the rule of law. This conference has devoted considerable attention to the challenge of internal security. The challenges we face on the internal security front arise partly as a consequence of the unevenness of our growth processes, the inequalities that remains in our social institutions, and the shortcomings sometimes of our political institutions. There may be other more complex issues like language, caste or religion or cultural rights. In this complex world that we live in, all these facets have to be taken into account in evolving a consulted and effective strategy to counter these challenges. Sometimes internal security problems are outright acts of extremism and terrorism for which there can be no space in a democratic polity. A democratic size government has to distinguish between the genuine and legitimate expression of dissent and and disaffection and the manifestations of anti-national, anti-social, and anti-people threats to our democratic way of life. Often, these challenges also arise because we are an open society and have allowed free expression to dissent of varying degrees. This is not our weakness but our strength. Stop.